Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast, where we provide you with your weekly diagnosis of everything fantasy football. Whether it's season-long leagues, dynasty, DFS, or sometimes even IDP, we got you covered all year long. Let's do it. Let's get to it. Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast, and it's Saturday, October 15th. I'm your host, John June. This guy to my left, Greg Penniman. Greg, G-Money, what's good?
What's good, man? Week 6, we're almost at halfway through that fantasy regular season. It's definitely going by. I mean, this is start of the bye weeks. I'm just looking forward to Sunday, man. I know we got this Hall of Fame matchup, instant classic that we had last year. We could just talk about that 2 times over than rather talk about what happened on Thursday, honestly.
I agree. But it wouldn't be a Saturday show if we didn't talk about the crappy Thursday night football game that we had to subject ourselves to.
And I was tight because I wanted to do the no touchdown bet again, or not again, but saw that people do that, and it would look like it was about to be close to hitting. But
yeah, I mean, it was interesting. Points Bets USA, one of the sports books, paid out everybody who took the under of 38 at halftime.
Wow. They knew it wasn't possible. That's crazy.
Yeah, they knew it wasn't going to happen.
That's crazy.
So unfortunately, we got to we do have to talk about that game. A 12-7. It was 12-7 victory for the Washington Commanders in a game in which it came down to the last play of the game. Justin Fields, who he's one of the toughest guys in the league. I mean, you just watch what he did, at Ohio State, with the rib injury and staying in that game in the college football playoff. And then this game, he takes like 3-4 shots. And they said there was something wrong with his shoulder. I thought it was a rib injury for him, but just for him to stay in that game and playing the way he does, where he runs the football. Obviously, the performance wasn't all that well throwing the football. They talked about it on the broadcast. You feel like the Bears could help him out a little bit more in terms of their play calling, as well as personnel. We know that they got some of the worst personnel in the league on terms of offensive line and pass catchers. But he put that ball exactly where it should have been for Darnell Mooney to make that catch and, win this game. And he just unfortunately, didn't come down with it.
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, I'm gonna look at the positives there. My man Brian Robinson, shout out to him. Got those 60 yards rushing, got the touchdown. Are we talking about the ball that Darnell Mooney bobbled at the 1-yard line and caught it though? Okay.
He caught it, didn't catch it, but either way, that ball was right there.
Yeah.
Like he catches it, the ball crosses the plane and he's in the end zone for a touchdown.
Yeah.
We're not even talking about it, but we're talking about it. So
yeah, I mean, he'll make him 190 and 2 touchdowns is a better day definitely than 190 and 1. Yeah. Better than Carson Wentz for sure.
Better than Carson Wentz. I mean, I believe Justin Fields had 18.7 fantasy points because he did have 88 yards rushing. So
nice.
Did have a very nice day. We thought Carson Wentz was streamable. For you know what, I wasn't even panicking in the first half because I was like, he does this all the time. So I'm not even tripping. The problem is that Chicago couldn't get anything done. So it didn't really put any more extra stress on Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Turns out he did fracture his finger in the game. So don't know how much of an impact it had, but it has to have some kind of impact. Carson Wentz did have one of the best blocks that I think we've ever seen, going out there and throwing a block on linebacker Roquan Smith. That boy Caden 5 coming in saying hi, waving. What's good, Caden? Appreciate you. Yeah, man. So It was overall sloppy game, sloppy performance, but our bold prediction came through.
It's
Our
true.
60, 60 yards by me for Brian Robinson, a touchdown by you for Brian Robinson. And it's crazy because we were talking about like, yo, this is all they're going to talk about during the game on the
Yep.
broadcast. When he gets in the end zone, like everybody's going to go nuts. And
Yep.
that's exactly what happened. And Twitter, like you just see everything. It's just like Brian Robinson touchdown. Oh my God, what
Yeah.
an incredible story. Like so on and so forth.
This is great. It's just, we've been doing this for a little bit, It's the script, yo. NFL, man, yo. They Thursday night prime time, yo. It just works. It just works.
Definitely. What about Terry McLaurin, man? I mean, what do you like? How do you justify putting him out there every week in your lineup? At this point,
Yeah, it is tough, especially because he's the quarterback play from that he's even though he's been with a lot of different quarterbacks, it seems like he always finds a way, and now he really can't through the struggles this year. I mean, he's still getting targeted at a decent amount. Nothing like last year, of course, but he's not getting the touchdowns. Only one on the year so far. Uh,
yeah, it's just tough because in previous years he was far and away the only option. It was either him or Logan Thomas a lot of times,
yeah,
right? So
yeah,
he was walking into a 28% target share. Where
definitely
right
in that
now,
that wide receiver 3 category right now.
that's exactly where he is in the wide receiver
Yeah,
3 category. Um, because he's not getting the targets that we and the quality of target, like, right, the quality of targets were never great,
yeah,
but the fact that you were getting them in abundance is what allowed us to be able to, to live off of what Terry was doing. But right now, we can't live off that. So Nick Perone is asking, what do you think about trading Michael Thomas, Darrell Henderson for Jimmy G for Chris Olave and Jalen Hurts? Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming with Cam Akers being out for however long he might be out for, he's going to be out this week. But Darrell Henderson is a starting running back, but you probably had him on your bench just kind of chilling there. Um, yeah, I would do this trade,
yeah. I agree.
assuming that you are strong at running back because you're getting Jalen Hurts, who's a top 4 quarterback right now in fantasy.
Yeah, he's a wins you matchups weekly type player. And then with Olave, if he's able to stay good and healthy, he's definitely can give you wide receiver 2 upside.
Correct. And Michael Thomas is, I mean, Olave and Michael Thomas, neither one of them came into the week healthy, but
Yeah,
seems like Michael Thomas might miss another game here. So if you can use this opportunity to flip Michael Thomas, then I would totally do this trade. Caden agrees. He says I would do it too. So, or I would do it because he had actually replied before we replied. But anyway, let's jump into the action. Our
yes,
first
sir.
matchup here, we got the 1-4 Carolina Panthers traveling to Los Angeles to take on the 2-3 Los Angeles Rams. No weather concerns in this game. Cornerback Stanley Thomas Oliver, the third for Carolina, is out with an Achilles. Quarterback Baker Mayfield, he's doubtful with a high ankle sprain. Wide receiver Laviska Shenault is out. For the Rams, Aaron Donald was a DNP with a foot. Tyler Higbee was limited with an ankle. Cooper Kupp is limited with a foot. And Cam Akers is out for personal reasons. This one's a little weird because it kind of came out of nowhere. And they said they don't know how long he's going to be out. This is just like I don't want to speculate or anything, or I don't know anything obviously in regards to what Cam Akers is going through, but it's just in regards to the situation and how it's playing out. Gives me vibes to like Calvin Ridley,
Mm.
or like maybe there was like, I don't know. I don't want to speculate and say into like what Cam Akers might be going through. It could be anything, right? Like, personal reasons, could be a lot of things, but it gave me shades of Calvin Ridley when Sean McVay can't say he doesn't know when he'll be back, right? So, um, yeah, just if you have an IR spot, stash him there. I saw a league where he just straight up got dropped. Um, Again, this is going to be a lot of uncertainty here, but Darrell Henderson steps in as the starting running back for the foreseeable future. Center Brian Allen is out with a knee. Uh, in this game here, I will take the under. I will take Carolina to cover. Uh, I, this is a combination of two things. The Rams have not been good, and a team every time that they fire their head coach, like the Carolina Panthers did with Matt Rule, a lot of times that galvanizes the team. The
True.
team wants to show it wasn't us, it was him. So I think they cover here, but I will take the Rams to ultimately win the game. For the Carolina Panthers, again, it's just CMC. That's the only thing I think I'm willing. That's the only thing I'm willing to trust out of that offense right now. And then for the Rams, Cup is a wide receiver 1, Higbee is a tight end 1, and then with Akers out, Hendo steps into RB1 territory in this matchup here.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. Well, I'm taking the under. I'm taking Carolina to cover though. I'm taking the Rams to win. On the Carolina side, I agree with you. Christian McCaffrey, definitely the only guy I can play here, even in a solid matchup for the wide receivers. It's McCaffrey. Maybe PJ Walker could be better than Baker getting it down the field, but I gotta see it for sure. And then on the Rams side, um, even with other than that first game Darrell Edison had, we had a solid game. I mean, this running game hasn't really done much, regardless of who's the starter. So I can't really trust that Darrell Henderson is getting like a significant bump with him. I guess if you're desperate, you got to throw him out there for RBs, but it's tough. Cooper Cup, must start action right there for him, and Tyler Higbee also is a playable tight end.
Yeah, I will say on Henderson, I mean, he hasn't been great, but he's been better than Cam Akers, of efficiency wise, just in terms of yards per attempt and things like that. And the biggest issue is that they were split. Like Henderson was getting 24% of the work the last 2 weeks, while Cam Akers was getting 60%. So it completely went in that favor. Assuming Henderson even gets 50% of the work, I think he's got to be considered an RB2. But we'll see. I mean, the matchup is nice against Carolina too, so I think I would have to play him in that situation. But moving on to Kansas City, we've got the 4-1 Buffalo Bills traveling to Kansas City to take on the 4-1 Kansas City Chiefs. This game has a 53.5-point total. The Buffalo Bills are 2.5-point home favorites, and this knocks off a streak. Patrick Mahomes being favored at home, including the playoffs. I don't have the number in front of me. I believe it was
Wow,
41 straight games, if I'm not mistaken.
wow, crazy. I
Uh,
mean, as he should, as he should.
yeah, I mean, there was also the other ridiculous stat where he's 12-9 when trailing by 10 or more points with a 57% win percentage, and the next best quarterback is Tom Brady with a 38% win percentage.
Yeah, and I think he's like 23-3 now against his division.
Yeah,
Something. Yeah,
it's
yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah.
This is the Adam Schefter tweeted out, for the first time in his career, Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes is a home underdog. Mahomes has been favored in his first 41 home starts, including the playoffs, longest streak to begin a career in the Super Bowl era.
Wow,
Crazy.
that's crazy.
Um, all right, let's move on to talking about the game, because obviously this is a rematch of the divisional championship round last year, in an absurd game in which
The
we,
Super Bowl, the playoffs, really for us.
yeah, I mean, honestly, that game was absolutely nuts. Um, we had like 4 lead changes in the last in the last minute and 52 seconds.
People were redefining like things you could do in 14 seconds. Like it was crazy. Like it's crazy.
And then that spawned an overtime, a change of the overtime rule in the postseason, in which now both teams will have an opportunity to score a touchdown. So we're
Rule
just gonna keep,
changing game, yo.
yeah. I mean, at that point, you just keep changing overtime, and it's gonna be, if you just keep changing overtime, at what point, when do you stop? Right? Because at first
When
it
it
was
becomes
like,
college football.
when it becomes college football, because at first it was like, oh, sudden death, and then they're like, oh no, sudden death's not good. Uh, you should give each team an opportunity to possess the ball. If you kick a field goal, or you first touchdown wins, and then it's like, that rule was really good, but now offenses get to drive down the field in one play, or one drive, and we don't get to see Josh Allen. Well, play better defense. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't know. It just irks me, because we're at 2 touchdowns right now, right? You got to essentially get 2 touchdowns, or a touchdown and a field goal, to win the game, and then that's it. Anyway, more points, I guess. More points.
Yeah.
That boy Caden says, hope it's a shootout game. Yes, we are with you. I hope so too. Greg, what do you think it will be after I read off these injuries, which is Buffalo, wide receiver James Kumaro, he's out with an ankle. Dawson Knox is off the injury report, so hopefully he was dealing with a foot injury. Hopefully that bodes better for him going forward. And then safety Jordan Poyer is also off the injury report. Micah Hyde still on injured reserve, so they're not fully complete in the secondary yet, but getting close to 100%. And then for Kansas City, safety Brian Cook is out, and cornerback Rashad Fenton is out. And then Trent McDuffie, the cornerback first-round pick, was designated to return from injured reserve. Now, Greg, give me the analysis, please.
I'm gonna take the under. I'm gonna take Kansas City to cover, though. Kansas City to win. I feel like you just got to jump on the first time Kansas City's ever a road dog in the Mahomes era. And the fact that in all these epic games, like Kansas City's at home, like it's tough. Like Buffalo's never got their chance at all in Buffalo, man. Like I feel like they deserve a chance. That's why they're going hard this year to get that number 1 seed, probably. But yeah, Mahomes, on the Chiefs side, Patty, of course, QB1. Both quarterbacks are probably going to finish in the top 5, top 3, possibly. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you got to keep throwing him out there, as a touchdown machine. Also, just being the most involved as the running back. Jerry McKinnon has been involved a little more last week. I think he is in that RB3 desperation category, kind of like right under maybe like a Darrell Henderson or something like that. Travis Kelce, of course, you're throwing him out there. The man had all his touchdowns in one game last week. He's just going to keep rolling as the main pass catcher for this team. And that's pretty much it. On Buffalo side, Josh Allen, QB1, Josh Allen RB1, whatever. Josh Allen everything one. But Devin
Hey man, he's
Singletary.
caught touchdown passes before. You could be a wide receiver, tight end one.
Word, yo. Crazy. Devin Singletary, I think is the running back continue to play in this matchup again in that low end RB2 category. Stephon Diggs, great matchup here for him. He should explode along with his ancillary receivers as well. I think all of them are startable. Gabe Davis, whoever's starting that slot position, kind of Isaiah McKenzie or Khalil Shakir. I think both have value in that play.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a sucker for the points. I'm gonna take the over on 53.5. I mean, it's an implied score of 28-26 or 28.5-26, something like
Yeah,
that.
it sounds low when you say that.
Right? Like, this game should be like 37-34.
Yeah, easily. You're right. And then none of them will be in like the first quarter too. It'll just explode in the second half and second quarter.
But Vegas don't got all those big buildings for nothing. So I don't know. And I haven't been great on the totals this year.
It's
I
tough.
think it's been my worst category of the 3. The outright winners is where I do my best work. So, but Kansas City, I will take them against the spread. I've picked against Patrick Mahomes so many times in my life. Like, I've learned not to do this anymore. So, so Kansas City to cover, Kansas City to win, especially at home.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, obviously. In terms of the matchup, Josh Allen, QB1, Stephon Diggs, and Gabe Davis, I think both got to be treated as wide receiver ones. This secondary for Kansas City is hurting as well. I agree with your assessment of McKenzie, Shakir. I think you can probably get away with maybe in a DFS, you could have exposure to both. It's tough in maybe redraft trying to pick one because we saw it be a 50-50 split with McKenzie and
Hmm.
Jamison Crowder.
Hmm.
And Khalil Shakir looks better than Jamison Crowder did. So if it was a 50-50 split with Crowder, I would have to imagine, especially with Shakir being a rookie, like they probably want to work him into that offense.
Hmm.
Get him some exposure to being in with Josh Allen. So and he's probably got the more upside than Shakir or than McKenzie. But on the Kansas City side, Mahomes the QB1, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you have to treat him as an RB2. Marquez Valdez-Scantling has been more productive
Sure.
than Juju, and he probably has the higher upside because his ADOT's not like 6 yards. So I would be willing to play him in this matchup here against Buffalo. I will say though, with how bad this receiving corps has been, right? Like inconsistent. Juju Smith-Schuster, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Miko Hardman. They did spend a second round pick on Sky Moore, and he was slightly more involved last week on Monday night in a game in which was competitive down until the end. So I'd have to imagine at some point he has to get more involved. Right,
Yeah.
like we can all see
Yeah.
how bad it is, right? Like he's got to get involved at some point. So he's somebody that I would stash ahead of this game if you have room on your roster.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I'm agreeing with you. If I had to choose one right for right now, MBS is the option, and as like a person I could probably play in the flex, because that upside is definitely pretty high. In a game that's gonna have some wild plays, like MBS could get a deep one.
And the thing that's the crazy part, right? Like, is I don't feel like MVS has had that deep
He hasn't. You're right.
that deep play yet, right? So, and we know with Mahomes there, it's bound to happen at some point. And then Travis Kelce, of course, he's got to be in your lineup. So,
Yeah, man.
all right, let's move on to the next matchup. We've got the Sunday night football game where the 4-1 Dallas Cowboys travel to Philadelphia to take on the 5-0 Philadelphia Eagles. This game has a 42.5 point total according to FanDuel Sportsbook, where the Philadelphia Eagles are 5.5 point home favorites. In terms of injuries, quarterback Dak Prescott, he's questionable with a thumb. Cowboys are playing pretty coy in terms of Dak's participation in practice and whether he's been throwing. Somebody asked CD Lamb, did Dak throw him any passes? And he's like, I don't have to answer that. And laughed it off a little bit. Dak Prescott was asked by the media, did he throw? And apparently he ran away from them. So I don't know. I don't think that he plays. I think
Nah.
Cooper Rush is gonna start this game.
Yeah. Yeah.
CD Lamb did pop up on the injury report with a hip injury. Stephen Jones, the VP of the Dallas Cowboys, football operations, said that he expects, CD. They're expecting CD to play. That he's just going through some things right now.
It's always the owners, like the front office and the owners always making the
Yeah,
assessment of the players.
yeah, all the time, especially in Dallas.
Yeah.
Um, tight end Dalton Schultz, he was taken off the injury report with that knee injury, so that's pretty positive. That's somebody that, with the nature of this tight end market, he could be on waivers. He could probably be on somebody's bench because they're fed up with him.
Hmm.
I would look to, if I'm hurting that tight end, I would look to acquire Dalton Schultz.
Yeah, I agree.
Micah Parsons, the linebacker, he's dealing with a groin, so he's questionable. And then for Philadelphia, Jake Elliott, the kicker, he's limited with an ankle. And then Avonte Maddox, the corner, also limited with an ankle. In this game here, I will take the under. I will take Dallas to cover. I will take Philadelphia to win the game here. CeeDee Lamb is balling right now. He's a wide receiver one. He leads the league in target share over the last 3 weeks with over 38%. If it wasn't for the hip and maybe this, Darius Slay matchup, we'd be talking maybe start of the week here with CD, but definitely going to play him. In terms of the running backs, I think you got to hold your nose and play Zeke if you have to. I mean, there's Josh Jacobs is on bye, Derrick Henry's on bye. So you may have to be in. Damian Pierce is on bye. You may have to be in a situation where you got to play, Zeke Elliott. So unfortunately, that might be what you have to do. And then Tony Pollard, he could be more involved with the potential game script here, and especially the matchup here against the tough Philadelphia run defense. Michael Gallup, wide receiver 3 flex option. And then for Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts, QB1, Devontae Smith. He's been out producing A.J. Brown, but both are strong wide receiver 1 options. And then Dallas Goedert, man, he's that steady Eddie at the tight end position. Continue to roll him out there. And then Miles Sanders, outside of that huge volume game, where he had 27 carries, he's really just he's been an RB2, which is definitely good because he was priced outside of that range, and so you're getting good production from him. So continue to roll him out there as an RB2.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the over. I'm gonna take Dallas to cover. I'm gonna take Philly to win. Divisional game should be pretty good. On Dallas side, Dallas. I mean, Zeke is you have to throw him out there, especially with all those buys you mentioned. Probably gonna fall into that RB2 category. Pollard, if you're really hurting, you're hoping that he can get a big play or get a touchdown. So I think both of them have at the floor like flex value. CeeDee Lamb, throw him out there. Been an amazing wide receiver 1. Dalton Schultz, his upside is going to keep getting higher, especially when Dak comes back. So I wouldn't throw him out here in this game, but I think he is a good tight end stash for sure in the coming weeks. On Phillies outside, Jalen Hurts, top 5 play every week. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, you have to throw them out there, expecting A.J. Brown to maybe have a bounce back. Prime time maybe comes through in this one, shows out. Miles Sanders been balling. I mean, as far as RB2 production, been pretty solid actually, and getting those touchdowns a little bit more. I got 3 on the year, so in the red zone, I think they're starting to trust him a little more, and at the goal line. So continue to play Miles Sanders, and Dallas Goedert has been just absolutely money this year. Tight end 1. Should be a good game though.
Yeah, definitely gonna be a good game.
Yeah.
Good Sunday night football. Hopefully the game that follows it is not so bad on Monday night when we get the 2-3 Denver Broncos.
Denver's 5th. I think this is Denver's 5th primetime game, so they're done after this. So,
are they done after
5?
this?
I think so. The max is 5, I believe. And they've had a lot in the first 5-6 weeks.
I really hope you're right, brother, because I can't do it anymore.
Unless they do some flexing, but I doubt it. I think there's 4 teams, or a lot of teams tied with 5 primetime games.
Whew. Oh man.
But let's ride. Let's go.
Let's ride. I mean, let's ride. Yeah. Anyway, 2-3 Denver Broncos traveling to LA to take on the 3-2 Los Angeles Chargers. This game has a 45.5 point total, where the LA Chargers are 4.5 point home favorites. In this game, Russell Wilson is off the injury report, dealing with that shoulder injury that he had. Apparently, it was a torn lat that required surgery. And it was whoever was feeding information to Ian Rappaport very well wanted everyone to know that Dak Prescott had not thrown a football for 20 days dealing with this injury, and Russell Wilson plans to play through it. So that's exactly how he said it.
Being made here.
That's exactly how he said it. So oh wow, Dak Prescott didn't throw a football for 20 days, but Russell Wilson's gonna play through it. Wow, what a tough guy. I mean, sure, I have never played quarterback in the National Football League, and I'm pretty sure it'd be very hard to do with a torn lat. But when you don't got to bring people down to prop yourself up.
I'm surprised he didn't bring up the injury Dak Russ had last year. Similar to the injury Dak has this year. He should just double down. Should just double down. Like, oh, and don't forget to mention I was out here on the field practicing by myself, getting it done, and coming back a couple weeks earlier.
Right? You might as well just go all in at that point.
Yeah, go all in, yo.
Oh man. Oh, okay.
It's
There
probably because
goes
he gets
our
paid the same amount. Maybe
yeah,
it's the paycheck. Yeah.
the paycheck. I mean, that's good for our weekly make fun of Russ
Yes.
segment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, a bunch of other guys for Denver are questionable. For the Chargers, kicker Dustin Hopkins, he's questionable with the quad, and then Keenan Allen, the wide receiver, limited participant in practice with a hamstring. Greg, do you believe that Keenan Allen plays this week?
No.
Me neither.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do in this game though?
I'm gonna take the under. I'm gonna take Denver to cover, but I'm gonna take the Chargers to win. On Denver side, I mean, I think you just gotta kind of wait and see for Russell Wilson. I'm not putting him out there, honestly. He's more of a benchable player. You got to see him start getting hot to trust him as a QB1 in 12-team format. So
Sorry, I'm
he's just
crying over here because remember how the other day I was like, yeah, I almost rage benched Russell Wilson for Justin Fields, and then Justin Fields had a pretty
oh
decent day,
yeah,
and now I got to play
yo,
Russell. I have no choice but to play Russell Wilson.
oh.
So here we
I
are.
think high in QB2 week. I think you can expect that. QB 15 maybe. I think that's like kind of the range for him. Melvin Gordon has a good matchup. The running game does have a good matchup with Mike Boone. So I think Melvin Gordon is a strong RB2 in this one. Mike Boone, I think, has some intrigue as a low end flex. The receivers, though, Cortland Sutton, continue to throw him out there as a borderline wide receiver 1. I think strong wide receiver 2. I think it kind of moves the needle with Russell. If Russell has a good game, then Cortland Sutton will into that wide receiver 1 category, along with Jerry Jeudy. I think he's a more of a solid wide receiver 2. And on the Charger side, Herbert, borderline QB1. Eckler, he's been a monster the last couple of weeks, so he's a bona fide RB1, top 5 play. Continue to play Mike Williams. I think especially as long as Keenan Allen's out, I think Mike Williams has wide receiver 1 upside. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm still waiting for Gerald Everett is also a streamable tight end. I think every week in the tight end market. That second ancillary receiver just won't show up though. I feel like for this passing offense, for a team that likes to go for it, throw it all the time, like they should have a good wide receiver 2 in this offense.
Yeah, his name is Mike Williams.
I mean, without Keenan Allen, I guess. Oh
man. I am 100% with you on the game. I'm taking the under. I'm taking Denver to cover. I'm taking the Chargers to win. I do love Cortland Sutton again this week. The matchup is nice. He has had 11 or at least 7 targets in every single game. Has had either 5 catches or 70 receiving yards in every game this season. Russ is so hyper focused on him, which is wonderful for fantasy. Jerry Jeudy has not had the crazy upside, especially like we said with Russ being hyper focused on Sutton, and they haven't been able to connect on those deep shot plays either with Jeudy. Russ, yeah, I'm with you. He's like borderline QB1, like right outside QB1 territory. He's playing through a torn lat, so hey, look, like this could actually be good, right? Like, what if we this whole time thought that Russell Wilson was bad when he just fell off the face of the earth, when in fact he's just injured?
that was the whole point of that guy saying all of that, probably too. Just to make sure, like we knew that there's an agenda here. Like he was hurt. Like this wasn't Russ. This is, and for the rest of the season too, he could say that. I mean, he's playing off a surgery. Like,
oh, yeah. But then why are you playing if you're so bad? If you're that bad, like, yeah, okay.
got to ride, yo.
It's like at least when Tom Brady does it, he's already won like 14 games, made it all the way to the Super Bowl, and then loses the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Playing through a shoulder injury.
Ben
like,
was the worst. Big Ben was the worst.
No,
you knew after every week what his injury was.
Big Ben show up with a sling.
Yeah.
a black eye. Like, yeah, I think it's gonna be really tough, but I'm gonna try and
Yeah.
go this weekend. Oh man. Anyway, borderline QB1 for us. I agree with you on the running backs. Melvin Gordon, great spot as an RB1 option. Mike Boone definitely has some flex appeal here in a great matchup for him as well. And then for the Chargers, Austin Eckler, like you said, he's on a roll. RB1 option. He's got like top 3 upside every week, it seems now, over these last couple weeks. Mike Williams is a strong wide receiver too. Herbert, he hasn't been great.
No, yeah, it's been just right on that like borderline.
Borderline,
Yeah.
but Denver's also not a great matchup. But he's at home. He's favored. Between Austin Eckler and Mike Williams, there's going to be some touchdowns and some big plays. So I think I just put him on the lower end of the QB1 territory. I
Yeah.
think this offense, like you said, really misses Keenan Allen, sorely misses Keenan Allen. And Gerald Everett, I think he should have a bounce back week.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, man. Let's get into the money time. Let's get into those starts of the week. Greg,
Sure.
who is your quarterback start of the week?
Hey man, I gotta go. I'm here, to pronounce, it's not prime time. You gotta go Captain Kirk going against going against Miami in this matchup. He balled out last week. He could have got his touchdowns up last week. I think more the way he started in that game against Chicago. I think they completed his first like 18 passes. But this week he's got a easier matchup. With against Miami secondary has been struggling. Xavier Howard is a little banged up. I think he's going to rely on the receivers as he always does, starting with Jefferson. But I think he gets that multi-touchdown game. He had 296 yards last week. He's been consistently over 250 except for 1 week, but I think he's going to get multiple touchdowns in this one.
Nah, I like that. The matchup is great for the receivers, like you mentioned, and Kirk is going to be a beneficiary of that for sure.
Yes, sir.
My quarterback start of the week, I'm going with Kyler Murray versus Seattle. Seattle, the last 3 weeks, allows the 7th most fantasy points to the quarterback position. This defense is a sieve right now, and that's awesome for fantasy football. And hopefully, Kyler takes advantage. He's the quarterback 5 on the year in total fantasy points, and the QB 11 over the last 3 games. And he hasn't really had the ceiling that we look for. But in a game like this, where the Cardinals have the 2nd highest implied team total behind just Buffalo on this in this week's slate of games, and this game has the 2nd highest over under outside of that Buffalo Kansas City game, so I'm expecting a top 4 finish from Kyler Murray this week.
Yeah, man. I mean, if it wasn't Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith would be in my start of the week category. Like those two, that game is going to go off. So both quarterbacks are definitely in play.
Definitely, Greg. Who is your running back start of the week this week?
I'm gonna go with Jeff Wilson Jr. going against Atlanta. Very great matchup this week, and he's just coming off of his best game of the season. 17 for 120 yards. Had 7 yards per carry. Got that touchdown as well. I think he's been very solid in relief for Elijah Mitchell, getting all the work that we expected Elijah Mitchell to get. They didn't really make it a committee or anything like that. Getting about 17 carries a game. I think you're gonna expect that again this week. And in the cake matchup, I think he was going to get close to 100 yards again.
Yeah, he's been on a roll, man. I'm glad you talked me out of taking that L for Jeff Wilson, because the whole situation that it was that I didn't want a part of, but now it's different because he's been freaking awesome. My running back start of the week, a little risky, but I just feel like people need to know because I've got some questions about whether he should be started or not, and
Mm-hmm.
this
Get
man
right
has
game.
to be started. This is
Oh yes.
Benjamin
Oh
against
yes.
Seattle. Like, you got to start Benjamin.
Yes.
Remember that thing I said about Seattle's defense being a sieve? Yeah, they allow the 6th most fantasy points to the running back position over the last 3 weeks. Benjamin was solid last week in relief of James Conner and Darrell Williams, who were both out of this game and should have enough volume here to be a high-end RB2, but the matchup is so nice that a top 10 finish is definitely in the range of outcomes. So you got to put Benjamin in your lineup this week as a very, very strong flex option. I say that based on how you may have acquired him, because some teams he might be your third or fourth running back. But on some team, like for me, I'm desperate. So he's in my start. It was either Benjamin or nobody. So Benjamin riding with you. Let's go. Let's ride.
Yeah. Let's ride. I mean, I'm with you on Eno Benjamin. I trust him. I mean, him and Kenneth Walker were the two hottest, I think, waiver pickups on the week. I think they were worth it. And Eno Benjamin's the only healthy player on that roster. They gotta give it to him.
Have to. What about wide receiver, Greg? Where are you going this week?
I'm going with Chris Godwin in this game, going against Pittsburgh. Great matchup here as well. I mean, for both receivers, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. But it's more like a welcome back party for Chris Godwin here. He's averaging 8 targets over the last 2 games. That's a pretty healthy number. I think he gets his yardage up. They've been climbing up steadily since he's becoming healthy as he gets more healthy. So yeah, I think it's another high target day for him, close to 10 targets. And Tom Brady is just gonna thrive off this matchup.
Yeah, Tom Brady has historically just ripped apart Mike Tomlin's Pittsburgh defenses, and especially those players that play from the slot. Chris Godwin got to be,
Yes, sir.
especially as he's getting healthier. And Julio Jones is not playing in this game, so it's Russell Gage, Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans. So yeah, I like this one a lot. My wide receiver start of the week, talked about him a little bit earlier. Cortland Sutton going up against the LA Chargers. Sutton has a 29% target share the last 3 weeks, puts him at 12th at the position during that span. The Chargers defense is hurting right now. No Joey Bosa to rush the passer, and their prized free agent cornerback, J.C. Jackson, who's the highest paid corner in football, has struggled with some injuries. He's playing through them, but he's struggling through them right now. He's rated the worst starting. He's rated one of the worst cornerbacks in football, according to PFF. The Chargers, the last 3 weeks, they allow the 7th most fantasy points to the wide receiver position. I'm expecting a big week here from Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's been, getting it done through the turmoil this year. Like, that's pretty impressive to start.
I like your tight end start of the week, Greg, a lot. I actually wanted to do it, but for obvious reasons, I could not, because I already have 2 starts of the weeks from this team. But
Right.
Your tight end start of the week, Greg?
Yeah, it kind of plays into, what you've been saying about Seattle's defense. They've been a very Swiss Army knife. Swiss cheese. Then and I think everyone on Arizona startable, including Zach Ertz, a guy that's been getting 9.3 targets since week 2. That's a really high number for a tight end. So expect him to get close to 7 catches, especially in PPR. That's going to help you to get a tight end one day automatically off rip. And I think he's bound to get a touchdown in this one and just be heavily involved. He's been a steady target for Kyler Murray.
Yeah, no, he's been balling. Definitely curious to see how much of this sticks when DeAndre Hopkins comes back next week. Did you see the video of D-Hop?
About the fantasy thing? Yeah.
Calculating my fantasy points.
Yeah.
When I put me off the bench. Yeah. Ooh, it's been a strong 6 weeks. Yeah, I can't wait. In the League of Extraordinary People, I get D-Hop and DeAndre Swift back in the same week, so I feel really nice about that one. Hopefully,
low-key, I'm hoping it affects Zach Ertz more than Rondo Moore, just for the life of fantasy. Rondo Moore deserves this.
Oh yeah, Rondo. We love Rondell on the show.
Yeah,
but I'm curious, man. I feel like Zach Ertz, Hollywood Brown, like somebody's gonna lose.
Someone's giving it up. Yep. D-Hop deserves his 9 to 10, man. That's
and I'm hoping that it lifts Kyler Murray up too, right? So because that's the other thing. Kyler's been he's the QB5, which is great, but
yeah.
Like the ceiling, like the gap between him and Mahomes, who's the QB4, is like 30 points.
Yeah, it's a game. It's a full game.
A full game.
Yeah.
A full Josh Allen game, though.
Yeah. For sure.
All right. All this, let me talk about my tight end start of the week. My tight end start of the week is David Njoku going up against the New England Patriots. has been as solid as an undrafted tight end in fantasy could be. Like more than solid, especially given the current fantasy landscape. He's the tight end 8 in PPR points per game on the season, but over the last 3 games, he's the tight end 4 in PPR points per game, averaging 16 points per game over those last 3 weeks. And now he gets to go up against a New England defense that allows the 5th most fantasy points to the tight end position over these last 3 weeks, allowing 17 PPR points to the position. Expecting a big week here from Njoku. We know Belichick is going to try to take away what you do best. That starts and ends with the Browns' run game. Njoku's got to make some plays here. So, yeah, definitely start him up.
Yeah, like that for sure.
All right, it's everybody's favorite time. Got to play some get money.
Yes, sir. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
So, it is an even week. That means that I get the first pick. Let me pull up the record because I have it. I'm currently 3-2 against Greg, so I have 3. Greg has 2, and week 6. So the pressure, no pressure. I'm going with at running back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with Ramondre Stevenson. 7,500 against Cleveland, and based on Greg's reaction, I got the first snipe of the draft.
That's crazy, yo. That's crazy. That's my sleeper of the year. That's my guy right now, bro. I was definitely gonna keep him rolling right now after the explosion last week. But yeah, nah, that's a great pick. I'm gonna just get my start of the week now. Give Jeff Wilson Jr. 7,200 as my RB1 now, not my RB2.
Okay, so
Wow,
playing this game here. Okay, I'm gonna go Justin Jefferson, a wide receiver, 9,200.
Bro. All right, bet. I'm gonna go at my running back 2. I'm gonna go Breece Hall, 7,100, going against Green Bay.
See, you got to give something up, right?
Yeah.
I have Breece Hall in my lineup. I had Breece Hall in my lineup, and I was gonna take him next, but I was like, J. Jeff is got to be in Greg's lineup. He has to be. And I knew I could adjust. I'm gonna just slide down to Eno Benjamin because he's cheap as heck at 6,300.
Like that. I'm gonna take Stephon Diggs as my wide receiver 1, 8,900, because I had some money because Jefferson was more expensive than that.
In my flex, I'm gonna go with Darrell Henderson, 5,700. Get a cheap play here.
I'm gonna just get Kirk Cousins now, quarterback. So get my start of the week and hopefully get all the points that Jefferson's getting. Obviously, it's gonna come from Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, unless he gets a rushing touchdown, which he's had. Pretty upset.
Don't put that evil out there.
No, Justin Jefferson in the rushing touchdown.
Oh, Justin Jefferson.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about Kirk Cousins. Yeah.
Oh,
no,
now both. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. At wide receiver, I'm gonna go with DK Metcalf, 7,400.
Definitely like that for sure. I'm gonna go my wide receiver start of the week, Chris Godwin at 6,800. My wide receiver 2.
I'm gonna go with at wide receiver Marquise Brown at 8,200, going up against Seattle.
I'm gonna go Kenneth Walker going against Arizona, 6,500 in my flex.
I'm gonna go with. I got to do this now because this is the only way I could afford like half of this stuff. But actually, yeah, I'm gonna go with the New York Jets defense, 3,300, going up against Green Bay.
Like that cheap play. I'm gonna go Drake London, 6,100 as my third wide receiver, going against San Fran.
At tight end, I'm gonna go Tyler Conklin, 4,900, going up against Green Bay.
And at tight end, I'm gonna go my start of the week, Zach Ertz, 6,000, going against Seattle as well.
And my quarterback is the last spot I have to fill. I'm going with Geno Smith, 7,400, to pair with my DK Metcalf, and also Marquise Brown and Eno Benjamin.
I'm gonna go with Cincinnati Bengals defense, 3,600. Defense
Your stream of the week.
Yes, sir. Yep. Going against New Orleans.
All right. So there it is. I will read off my lineup. At quarterback, I have Geno Smith, 7,400, going up against Seattle or going up against Arizona. At running back, I have Eno Benjamin, 6,300, going up against Seattle. Ramondre Stevenson going up against Cleveland at 7,500. Marquise Brown going up against Seattle at 8,200. DK Metcalf going up against Arizona at 7,400. Justin Jefferson going up against Miami at 9,200. Tyler Conklin going up against the Green Bay Packers at 4,900. Darrell Henderson versus the Carolina Panthers at 5,700. And the New York Jets defense going up against Green Bay at 3,300.
I'm going to go with Kirk Cousins, QB1, quarterback 7,600. Breece Hall, my RB1 at 7,100, going against Green Bay. Jeff Wilson Jr., 7,200, going against Atlanta. Kyle Pitts is playing. Look at
that. Is he actually playing? Will he score fantasy
points? He's expected to play. So, Stephon Diggs, 8,900, going against Kansas City. Wide receiver 2, Drake London, 6,100, going against San Fran. Chris Godwin, Tampa Bay, 6,800, going against Pittsburgh. Zach Ertz at my tight end position, 6,000. Kenneth Walker at 6,500, my flex, and then Cincinnati Bengals defense at my defense at 3,600.
Let's see if Greg can tie it up this week.
Back up.
Or if I can pull out to a two-game lead here. But there's only one way to find out, and that'll be to come next Saturday and we do this all over again. Or you could listen to our replay the teams that we just played and then track those players and do the math if you want.
I'll bring it up Monday now. Now that
like, you'll bring it up Monday.
If I don't, I'm not bringing it up.
All right. So basically, if Greg wins, he'll bring it up on Monday. If he doesn't win, then he won't bring it up. That means I won, so maybe I'll bring it up.
Maybe.
We'll see. Anyway, there's only one way to find out, and that's to come here on Monday as we recap week 6, talk about the week that was, and talk about waivers, talk about the performances. So enjoy some football, everybody.
Yes,
have a good one. That boy Caden saying waving goodbye. Appreciate you, Caden, for rocking with us, vibing with us, tapping in. And make sure if you tapped in that you subscribe, do all that fun stuff so you can get the notifications for when we do our next show, which obviously, like I said, is Monday. So we'll see y'all on Monday. We're out of here. Peace.
Yeah.